gorillas have more than enough reasons to be depressed. There is deforestation, poachers, and intercurricular competition. In the face of such incessant stress, what is there to do but get drunk? The mountain gorillas of Rwanda do just that. They managed to discover one of the local varieties of bamboo, whose sap contains alcohol. This source of fun is well known to the locals, and they even call it bamboo wine. What the gorillas call it is unknown, but the fact that they drink this alcoholic beverage with great pleasure has long been known. US photographer Andy Rouse happened to stumble upon the gorillas having such a drink, right in the jungle. It happened during his trip to Rwanda. At first, the photographer thought the gorillas had some health problems, but after a closer look, he quickly realized that the gorillas had become extremely sick. Andy used the opportunity to snap dozens of pictures that were posted on social networks. These were the first pictures of the gorillas drunk. Australia is home to the largest number of venomous snakes. You can find them under almost every rock there. But the most amazing thing is that at the top of the food pyramid is not even such a celebrated exterminator of all living things as man. This king is the creepy-looking reed toad. Funny how it enjoys such immunity on the mainland, though some argue that Australia is an island after all, where everyone hunts everyone. But Australian dogs proved to be no slouch, and began to use the reed toads in the same way that humans use small doses of life-threatening substances for pleasure. The frogs contain very little of this poisonous substance, but enough to give the dogs enough pleasure by licking the toads over and over again. Under the influence of this substance, the dogs begin to perform such ridiculous actions as hopping about, contemplating the sky, or running in circles for half an hour. The truth is, this pursuit of buzz can come back to haunt dogs in the same way that it does for humans with health problems. I must say that the Australian authorities took this into account, and in this country, even opened rehabilitation centers for dogs licked by reed toads. Fugu fish is considered a classic Japanese delicacy. True, it is very dangerous, but it is also unusually expensive. The body of the fugu fish contains a great deal of tetrodotoxin, which is among the most dangerous poisons on the planet, and is 10 times more toxic than the famous curare. The tetrodotoxin contained in just one palm-sized fish is enough to send 3 dozen gourmets to their deaths. The mechanism of action of this poison is such that it causes paralysis of all muscles, and leads to respiratory failure. It is for this reason that only chefs of the highest qualification have the right to cook this fish. However, in spite of this delicacy still kills several people every year. The most interesting thing is that dolphins do not eat the fish completely. They simply take it in their mouth and suck it, as if a drug addict sucks on a piece of sugar drenched in LSD. This continues until the mammal feels pleasure. Then the fish of happiness is transferred to another addicted dolphin, and so on until all the members of the pack feel bliss. After that, the fish is released. These animals also belong to the group of those who breathe uneasy about alcohol, and they have even mastered a primitive form of winemaking. To obtain alcohol, they seek out fruit that is rotting in the sun and drink its juice. Fortunately for them, the smallest amount of fermented juice is enough to get them thoroughly stoned, which has been captured on camera more than once. In the United States, squirrels even have their own favorite holiday for which they get especially rowdy. It's Halloween. The thing is, when it's over, people throw a lot of pumpkins in the trash, which can sit on the ground for quite a while and ferment. As a result, in warm weather, mid-November becomes the season of drunken squirrels. For example, in mid-July 2015, several people who worked at a British pub came to work in the morning and found a lot of beer spilled on the floor of the establishment. At first they thought the place had been raided by robbers, but later they saw the culprit. It was a drunken squirrel who could barely stand. The squirrel managed to open the tap of the beer tank and got as drunk as any other squirrel could ever imagine. Russian bears are not satisfied with mere alcohol. They want jet fuel. When the Soviet Union ceased to exist, no one thought about the environment. Eventually, some shrewd businessman in Kamchatka turned the Kranatsky Reserve into a repository for jet fuel. But after a while, Russian scientists saw that the brown bears living there had learned how to open the barrels and enjoy it. They acted like regular toxicomaniacs, inhaling the fumes of a radioactive substance. The end of such a session was roughly the same state in which some of our fellow citizens are in after getting paid. Only the bear replaces the fence or the back alley with a ditch in which they lie while their consciousness travels to other worlds. One photographer even devoted 7 months of his life to taking pictures of drunk bears. According to his claims, the bears weren't limited to just sniffing the tanks and zealously sniffed the ground beneath the helicopters, sniffing the fuel dripping from them. But after a while the reserve was cleared of the barrels and the bear shop was shut down. How the bears reacted to such destruction of the dealer's center remains unknown. So not only people can become addicted to intoxicants, Alas, the consequences of such addiction are the same for both humans and animals.